organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
A tank of gas and a bottle of vodka? The odd combo could become a possibility as we take a look at a new law that would allow gas stations to start selling hard liquor.
Plus, see what had these UI students up in arms on Monday.
And in sports, the Hawkeye swim team accomplishes something it hasn't done since 1995. We'll tell you what it is coming up.
All this plus a look at your local weather forecast is headed your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now. Thanks for tuning in to your Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television, news, sports, and weather source from the Daily Iowan. I'm John Detcott.
And I'm Natalie Schlicht. A bill that would allow gas stations to sell hard liquor is being pushed through the Iowa State Legislature with overwhelming support. Daily Iowan TV's Reed Chandler takes a look at what that could mean for local businesses.
The competitive market of alcohol sales may heat up in the near future with a potential bill that would allow gas stations in Iowa to fully compete with liquor stores. Quickly making its way through Iowa State Legislature, gas stations may soon offer more than just beer.
I don't think this bill should be passed because, honestly, we're going to get liquor somewhere, whether it's downtown or at a gas station, so the difference of us walking downtown isn't a big deal.
Iowa to obtain a Class E liquor license, meaning convenience stores like this can sell hard liquor within the store without having to put it in a separate room with a separate register.
Probably get a lot more customers because people always come in and ask if we sell liquor, so more business for us, so it'd be good.
The Class E liquor license would cost around $4,300, which could generate a revenue of $3 million annually for the state of Iowa. I'm Reed Chandler, Daily Iowan TV.
The bill will be presented to the Senate in April and would need to be approved by the Governor Terry Branstad before becoming law.
The crisis in Japan continues to wreak havoc as the country struggles to recover from the disastrous earthquake. The earthquake in Japan not only left thousands dead, but also caused an explosion of a nuclear power plant. One UI Japanese student describes how her family living in Japan was affected.
Definitely blackouts in Tokyo, and they definitely did feel the earthquake, they said. And my cousin had to stay over at a friend's place for a night or two because there weren't any local transportation running. And also in Kagoshima, the ferry wasn't running for about a day or two because they were so concerned about the tsunami, even all the way down there.
The earthquake was an 8.9 magnitude and caused a tsunami to wash away cars and people on land.
Some people, in order to get some batteries, they had to have their daughter that lives all the way down in Okinawa to send in by mail and stuff. So there aren't any resources that people can buy really anymore. And it just seems like everyone has to cut down and really focus on giving to the people that need the resources.
Albright says her family felt the effects of the earthquake but were not injured. She says she's able to keep in touch with her family online and they are doing all they can to help out back home.
The heavy cost of school is a constant worry for some students, and after Wednesday, tuition might weigh on their minds a little bit more. UI President Sally Mason will travel to Ames, Iowa on Wednesday as the State Board of Regents is set to vote to raise tuition, which has steadily increased over the past few years. If passed, tuition would increase 5% for in-state students and 6% for out-of-staters. Those percentages mean in-state students would pay over $300 more next year, and out-of-state students would pay over $1,300 more. Still, President Mason says the UI has done a good job of keeping school affordable.
Now, I think we've worked pretty hard in Iowa at all of the public institutions to maintain the accessibility of an education for Iowa students. I always tell people, and I always like to tell parents in particular, you know, if you're worried about, can I afford this, please come and talk to us.
The Regents raised tuition 6% last year, and this year's vote comes in the wake of Governor Terry Branstad's proposal to cut Regent funding by 6%.
Iowa City police arrested 2 men Sunday after they received reports of a large fight involving gunshots, knives, and sticks. Jace Lindsay and Devontae Coleman were arrested after the two got into an altercation over marijuana. According to police reports, several other people were involved in the fight, and when police arrived, they found Lindsay with bloodshot eyes and smelling strongly of alcohol. He was later charged with public intoxication and providing false identification information. Still more to come on Daily Iowa TV. We'll tell you the latest developments concerning the continuing crisis in Libya.
And in sports, a year cut short, a look back at the 2010-2011 women's basketball season.
But first, Daily Iowa TV Scott Jones joins us in the studio for a quick look at your local weather forecast. Scott?
Thanks, John. We had a few scattered showers and heard some occasional thunder on Monday, but Iowa City didn't get hit with any heavy storms. Monday night into Tuesday morning, however, we should expect to see some heavier rain and thunderstorms. Tuesday morning will be warm and stormy with 50 degrees. Scattered thunderstorms should continue through the rest of the day, and by the afternoon we'll see highs of 59. And in the evening it'll be 55 with more rain and thunder. Looking into the extended forecast, it looks like the rest of the week is going to get very chilly. Expect drizzle on Wednesday, and we may see some rain and sleet on Friday. Highs for the rest of the week aren't going to get over 40 degrees, so keep your heavy coats handy. That's your check of the weather. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Scott. Tensions in Libya continue to rise as involvement by the U.S. and other allied forces increases. On Monday, a U.S. airstrike hit one of Libyan President Muammar Gaddafi's compounds in the capital of Tripoli. U.S. officials said they were not targeting Gaddafi himself, but rather a control center capable of organizing Libyan armed forces. U.S. officials said their techniques have been effective and they are making progress. However, Gaddafi has made it clear that he will not go down without a fight, promising a long war ahead. And here at the UI, a small group of protesters gathered Monday night on the Pentecrest to voice their opposition to the American action in Libya. The protest comes after the UN recently passed a resolution authorizing international military action in the country, and gatherers spoke out against the recent airstrikes. The resolution created a no-fly zone over Libya and allows allied forces to take necessary measures to protect civilians from being attacked. The protesters expressed their opposition to the U.S. entering another war as American forces continue to fight in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Millions, if not billions of dollars. Who knows, we may invade, and people from Iowa City might go over there, you know, military families, and just all of us. I don't want to lose any more people.
And Natalie, while students may be upset about U.S. involvement, investors actually saw it as a positive step forward.
That's right, John. The Dow Jones climbed nearly 200 points on Monday, hitting a mark not seen since March 11th. And analysts say that worries over instability in the Middle East and North Africa are slowly fading while crude oil prices continue to rise. Investors were encouraged by progress made in Japan's nuclear crisis, as well as telecommunication giant AT&T's $39 billion acquisition of T-Mobile. Monday saw the third consecutive day of market growth, and investors will continue to look overseas for more signs of possible economic improvement.
New advice for parents may keep their children facing backwards. A new policy statement from the American Academy of Pediatrics says that children should be kept in rear-facing car seats until the age of 2. Now, many parents follow the old advice of keeping children in rear-facing seats until they are 1 year old, but the Academy says following the new guideline will keep children much safer. A 2007 study found that children under the age of 2 are 75% less likely to be injured in an accident if they are facing the rear of the car. And now Daily Iowa TV Sports Director Chelsea Byrne is with us. And Chelsea, the spring sports are already underway and some Iowa ball players are already receiving some recognition.
Yep, it looks like it's going to be some exciting seasons already. Well, as we all know, spring is here in Iowa City, and that means it's time to turn our attention to the Diamonds. Both the University of Iowa softball and baseball teams have their seasons underway and are already being recognized for their standout players. It was announced Monday that Iowa softball player Stephanie Ochoa was named the Big Ten Player of the Week, and the Iowa baseball team's Nick Brown was recognized as the Big Ten Pitcher of the Week. Both Ochoa and Brown will build on their early season successes this coming weekend. And 4 members of the 24th ranked Iowa men's swimming team have qualified for the NCAA championship meet in Minneapolis. The relay team of Paul Gordon, Ryan Phelan, Duncan Patridge, and Jordan Huff qualified in the 200 free relay. This is the first relay the men's swimming team has had qualify for the NCAA championships since the 1995 season. And head coach Mark Long says this shows the quality of the entire team.
Well, getting a relay in shows the depth of a team, and it's been a goal of ours to get back there with a relay. They only took 13 relays in this event in the entire country.
Out of the 13 relay teams invited to the NCAA championships, this Iowa team was the 13th invite. But junior Duncan Patridge said just qualifying doesn't satisfy the Hawks.
To score, become All-American, top 8 in the relay, so pretty lofty goals, but I think very attainable.
Another member of the relay team also qualified for the NCAAs individually and is only the 4th Hawkeye to do so in the past decade. Paul Gordon qualified in the 200 free with a blazing time and said he's excited to go to Minneapolis to compete.
A lot of fun. I've swam lots of meets at that pool, but never anything this high level, and so it's going to be really exciting, and it'll be great to get in and see the national level competition.
The NCAA championship meet is being held this Thursday through Saturday. And it's definitely that time of year when all anyone can think or talk about is basketball. Fans wait all year for March Madness, and it is finally here. But some teams, unfortunately, had their madness cut short, such as Lisa Bluter and her hard-nosed Iowa squad. But that does mean that this 2010-2011 season wasn't one worth recognizing for these Hawkeyes. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Brendan Ferguson takes a closer look at what was a memorable season.
Iowa has had 4 consecutive berths in the NCAA tournament and only have 1 win to show for it. The 2010-2011 team probably had its best chance to advance to the Sweet 16, but they had an atypical first-round matchup in 11th-seeded Gonzaga. Iowa was not up to the challenge of slowing down the most potent offense in women's basketball, as the Zags scored over 90 points on the Hawkeyes. Courtney Vandersloot, one of the nation's top guards, scored over 30, and her running mate Kayla Standish also went over the 30-point mark. The loss in Spokane means that Iowa's regular season success once again did not translate come NCAA tournament time. Senior players Cash Alexander and Kelsey Cermak had a successful run in black and gold until their college careers ended. But both players went down swinging as Alexander nearly had a triple-double and Cermak had a strong first half. Even though one of Iowa's all-time greats, Cash Alexander, will not be on the squad next year, Iowa boasts one of the strongest recruiting classes in the country and have 2 top 100 recruits already signed. Even without any NCAA tournament success this year, Coach Lisa Bluter and her Hawkeyes have a lot to look forward to next season. Brendan Ferguson, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Thanks, Brendan. The defending national champion Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team tried to defend their title last week. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Ethan Siebert has a recap of the tournament.
Sophomore Matt McDonough and the Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team spent spring break in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the NCAA Division I National Championships. The Hawkeyes ended their 3-year reign as national champions by placing 3rd behind Cornell and Penn State. Every Hawkeye at the tournament won at least 1 match, but freshmen Tony Ramos and Ethan Lofthouse, as well as junior Blake Raising and senior Aaron Jansen, fell short of All-American status. However, the Hawkeyes did manage to bring home 5 medals from the national tournament. McDonough was the highest finisher, placing 2nd after losing in the finals to Arizona State's Anthony Robles. Fellow sophomore Grant Gambrell went 6-1 during the tournament to take 3rd. Freshman Derek St. John placed 4th, as did junior Montel Marion. Finally, senior Luke Lofthouse ended his career for the Hawkeyes with a 5th place finish.
The Hawkeyes only had 2 seniors wrestling at the national tournament and will bring back 4 All-Americans. And you know, Natalie, John, there's so much going on right now in sports. The women's gymnastics team also announced today that they have made the NCAA regional tournament. So be on the lookout to see how they do as well.
We'll have to check it out, and best of luck to them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Definitely. Yep. Thank you, Chelsea. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Tuesday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about how meditation is becoming more popular in Iowa City and helping some students succeed in the classroom.
Plus, find out how UI students are focusing on taking more jobs in the great outdoors. And before we leave you, here's one last look at your final weather forecast for Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll see a high of 59 degrees with a strong chance of thunderstorms.
And that's your Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday at the same time or check us out online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.